customer in this car is actually complaining of a clunking noise coming from the front of the car. I've actually inspected the other control arms on the right front, and they all seem to be okay except for the top ones. And the easiest way to check the top ones on one of these cars, I don't know if you can see this, but these are the two upper control arms right here. They're basically, it's like a ball joint in there and a ball joint in there. Is I just grab the tire in from like 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock and give it a wiggle. And if you can see how those are actually wiggling and moving, so we're going to have to be replacing those. First thing we got to do is pull the wheel off. So now we can see them much better without the wheel on. I'll give it another shake so you can see. Notice the motion right there. Unfortunately, what happens with a lot of these, this bolt actually holds in both of these little tie rod ends into the spindle housing. And usually what happens with these bolts is they actually freeze in place and won't come out, and you end up having to use a torch. Otherwise, then you end up burning the boot on the good control arm, and you end up having to replace that too. So let me see what happens with this one. Yep, it's frozen. So preferred method to get these out is I'm going to grab the fire wrench and heat up that whole housing right here until it's good and hot, and then hopefully we can get the bolt to free up and come on out. And now I got out one of my favorite tools, the fire wrench. This is by far the best way to get one of these bolts out. If you just start pounding on the bolt, what you end up doing is just actually mushrooming the head over, and then you just make a bigger mess and more work to get the thing out. This has been proven to be the best method of over and over again. You always end up sacrificing, if there is one good control arm, you ruin it, but it's still cheaper than the labor to get the bolt out if you screw it up. little more heat there, I guess. There we go. One bolt out. Now we'll walk off and let this cool off for a little bit, and then I'll come back and deal with it. But we're back. This is partially cooled. It's still relatively hot, but the next thing that we have to do is these little ears. We have to spread these so it allows these to come out more easily. The method I use is I use a pry bar, hammer, stick it right in there, just like that. And the same with the front one. And you can see they pop right out after that, pretty much. And there we go. So the next thing that has to happen is these bolts up here. There's one in the front and one in the back that holds these control arms in place. Unfortunately, the way they designed the car is this bolt has to come out that way, so you end up having to drop this whole assembly down in order to actually undo these. It's kind of a pain in the butt. When I put them back together, I actually put the bolt in from the other direction, so that in the future, if you have to change one, it's a lot easier. It's kind of hard to see in here, but what we have is this shroud has to come off, and one of the bolts is down in here, and the other ones are down underneath here. Kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's not too bad. If you can see, this is one of the bolts. There's another one down over in here, and another one right over in there. I don't know if you can see it. At any rate, we'll undo those. We have to raise the car back up again. Now the next thing we have to undo is there's a large bolt. I don't know if you can see it right here, and we'll undo that, and then we can pull this whole shock absorber assembly out to the side and then pull this whole assembly down, and then we'll be able to get to the bolts for the control arms themselves. Unfortunately, they have this retaining snap clip on a stud on these, which is supposed to prevent this thing from falling down when you undo it. There we go. And it's out. So next step is we undo the control arms themselves and put on the new ones, and we won't forget to reverse this bolt so it actually goes in from this side instead of that side, which will make it easier in the future. You don't have to pull this whole thing down then. So now we have this set up in the vise just to hold it steady, and we will undo these bolts. reassembling this, and we're putting the bolt in. Instead of bolt going in this way, like that, we're going to put in the bolt from the other side. There. What I'm doing right now is I want to leave these control arms just slightly loose so that when I actually put them back in the car, I can set the ride height on these so they're not stressed in one position or the other. Anyway, very important, otherwise you'll wear out the bushings prematurely. That's about right. And back in she goes. And we set the car back down again. And then we put the bolts back in. And back up we go again. So now we got the big bolt back in on the bottom, and now we're going to put the control arms back in here and put in a new bolt. One thing that I like to actually do before I reassemble these is spray some red grease or lithium grease, anything like that you want down into this area, and also on the new bolt. This will actually prevent us from probably having to use the torch again to remove it next time. Very important unless you want to do it the hard way. So let's find the red grease. Lots of red grease. Good stuff. And now we don't want to forget to tighten the control arm bushings. And voila, there we go. One whole pair of control arm bushings, upper, replaced, all in place, everything tightened, ready for the wheel to go back on.